us today. You all excited? Woo! The future is here, guys. We are actually living it. It's very fun to actually be here in this day and age doing the things that we do. How about this? What if we go across, introduce ourselves, and kind of talk a little bit about what you do individually so we can all get a context of the situation. Erik, do you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Erik Murphy-Chutorian. I'm the founder and CEO of HETFEST. What we do at HETFEST, we're a tech company that builds technology for mobile augmented reality. Our big focus as a company is that AR is for everyone, and we've been building tools that essentially allow you to do AR anywhere on any mobile phone, any device. And just recently we launched our web AR solution, which is the first 6-stop AR experience, no apps. It's really kind of what we think is one of the big gaming features to bring this tech to everybody.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Adam?
My name is Adam Dubov. I am consulting with Ziality, which is an interactive VR platform dedicated around mainly sports fan engagement content, but also operate under my own banner, Dubovision. I'm basically a media and content, digital media OG, original gangsta, so I've been doing this for a good long time with a long checkered career, motion pictures and television, then as an executive for a variety of digital media companies, hired by my friend and associate Charlie Fink over there at AOL back in 1997 to do what we didn't know it was called it then, but digital content development. Ran a digital media team at HBO for 7 years, and I now develop VR, XR, MR, AR content.
Thank you. Ariella?
Hi, my name is Ariella Lehrer. I'm the president of HitPoint Studios. We're a 30-person team, mostly based in Western Massachusetts with an office in LA. We are a work-for-hire development studio with a primary focus in AR, mobile AR. So currently we're doing mostly consumer-related projects. So we're working with Ellen DeGeneres' digital team now on an AR project. Caesar's Palace, we just finished one for Universal Kids. We have an ongoing project, AR project with Disney. We've done numerous projects with Google. One of the more recent ones was a retail demo, which I can talk about more in detail. So mostly they're games, and I've been in the gaming business for over 30 years, but then there are also some retail and business and education applications that I can talk about too.
And my name is, I'm just jumping right now.
Amy?
I'm so used to moderating, but I just I'm
We can switch spots.
No. My name is Amy Peck. I'm the founder and CEO of EndeavorVR. We're a strategy and consulting firm working actually primarily with enterprises on leveraging the technology and really thinking about how to leverage it at scale. But we also work on sort of the entertainment, the LBE side, because we have done a terrible job as an industry of engaging the consumer. But as hopefully we'll all talk about today, I think AR is kind of the gateway drug now, and I think we have great opportunities. So,
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys and girls. My name is Dylan, founder of Rally Smash. I made a community of developers in Orange County called OCVR Meetup. Run hackathons, game jams, conferences, and I also do a development studio where we do AR and VR work for a number of brands like Coke, KFC, Disney, Star Wars, and some other things. So I feel like I am amongst my peers here, and this is fantastic. Let's get nerdy and let's have some fun. So on that note, let's talk about what's the exciting thing coming out about AR that really excites you. Does anybody want to take a jump at that? Any OGs that want to?
Sure. Personally, what I'm most interested and excited about is the ability to really tell hopefully compelling narrative stories, human narratives and historical stories tied to actual locations. And what we would call typically the sort of obscured landscape that we live in. to really bring content to people in a way where it's most relevant to them. I think that's really fundamentally exciting. I think it's really the next leap forward in television, really. Meeting the audience where they are, which is on their mobile device.
Sure, absolutely. And have you had any challenges with balancing frame control along with being able to use this XR environment?
I don't understand.
So what I mean by that is, in this new medium, going from having control of a frame, you can have someone look at something, but now they can look anywhere or do anything in this environment. Have you had a challenge continuing a narrative without having control of the frame?
Absolutely. But I mean, I think, you know, in having done, you know, a fair bit of production, you know, 360 video and VR production, it's actually, you have a lot of control of it, really. It's just a different paradigm, and actually the sort of, you know, traditional TV filmmaking discipline really sort of helps you with that, right?
How so?
Knowing where to put the camera, you know, same as it ever was. But knowing where to put the camera in a way that's going to ultimately lead to successful exploration by the user.
I just wanted to say we were asked to put together a concept for the Gettysburg battlefield. It reminded me of what you were talking about, and it was a really fun project. I don't know if it'll ever get made, but essentially what it is they're over Gettysburg, which, you know, was a 3-day battle and was the turning point of the Civil War. It takes place over 24 square miles, and they're like,
Oh yeah,
and they're like 2,200 monuments, and mostly you're looking out on these beautiful, in the summertime when I was there, green fields. And the number one question, according to the National Park Service, is, what am I looking at? What happened here? Nobody knows. So the concept was, okay, do an augmented landscape project so that you can actually show Seminary Ridge, the Confederate Army at the high water mark on the 3rd day, you know, and you can show all that drama of the actual.
and of course,
in the location.
absolutely, and of course, the pivotal moment of the Maine boys versus the Alabama boys at the Little Round Top.
That's right. No, day 2. That was day 2. I became an expert in
That's
Battle of
amazing.
Gettysburg. But anyway, it's not only can you use AR to actually label virtually everything you're looking at. Okay, there's Cemetery Hill, there's Seminary Ridge, there's this, there's that, but you can also identify all the monuments, and you can tell through 3D animation on the location what actually occurred there. So that's an exciting, I think, opportunity for travel and education and location-based AR entertainment.
You know, just some of the things that we've realized as we spent time in demos and building out AR is that this isn't a static medium. It's a medium where things happen as a result of some other action taken by the person viewing it and the person interacting. And so when I think the framing problem in your traditional medium, you frame the scene and you film it. In an AR version, you always say there's going to be content that happens here. And it only happens when somebody comes and views this space. So if someone's exploring, 360 degree around them, they can just kind of view things. And if you want to get their attention to the space, you can call them over. You can use audio cues, you can use visual cues, and you can hold on whatever's kind of the next piece of content until they come up and start to view it. And you can kind of make, instead of like, wait till the person gets to the frame of the thing that you wanted to frame, and you like draw their attention over and then trigger the kind of behaviors and things that you want to see in those environments.
I think I have a little more of a kind of futuristic view of what the possibilities are, because that's really, we're looking 3 and 5 and 7 years out, how people are going to be using this technology. And I didn't know Charlie Peck was here, but Charlie wrote a fabulous article which is turning into a book called The World Will Be Painted with Data. And that's true. So we're not going to be holding up our mobile phones anymore. We're going to have, it's the next, it really is the next computing platform. So everything you're doing on your mobile phones, your device today, can be projected in your field of view. And Magic 1, though it came out with very negative reviews, and everybody loves to hate on them because they've taken in $2.4 billion. That's, you have to start somewhere. And that, that's where I see the value of this technology, where we're really able to view contextual information without having to hold up a phone, using our voice commands, and really having anything at our fingertips projected in our field of view. And I think that's the beauty of this technology.
It is interesting, though, that you don't control necessarily, where the user's looking, right? So the very first AR game we did, we won a competition with Google, and we created a game for the Tango device. And so this started about 4 years ago, and it was a walk-around game. So you're, of course, shooting zombies. What else? 4 years ago, but we had a Crayola license, so we were shooting them with color. So it was more or less a kid's game. But you could walk anywhere, and so now the zombies are walking into the elevator, and you didn't know what kind of environment the kids were actually going to be playing in. We limited it to inside, at least, because Tango didn't work outside. But you couldn't tell if they were, playing in their bedroom in a small space. So we had to do multiple designs depending on the kind of space that somebody ended up playing the game in. And so it really gave us an appreciation of the fact that a lot of times you just don't have control of the environment.
You always have control of the zero frame, editorially. So that gets back to, what your initial POV or camera placement is going to be. That's powerful. Also, what I've done a bit of work with too is also incorporating, and if we're talking about VR or 360 video, also incorporating 2D video into that experience as well. To kind of punch in on close-ups or to provide a more directed point of reference and find a nice kind of seamless way to incorporate that. And that's really effective. It doesn't. I think people have been too sort of rigid in the way that they approach immersive technology, immersive media in terms of the way that they make it. I think you can actually be a little bit more eclectic and flexible in how you use that stuff.
Sure, there's like a peer's point of view versus, sounds like what you're talking about is like media stacking.
Yeah.
Having a Word document, support a video, support a picture, support the 360 environment overall.
It's multimedia, really, like they used to call it in the CD-ROM days.
Absolutely. That's great. And to your point about Magic Leap, always feel like TV or film has sold us a fantasy that technology constantly tries to live up to. And so while they make these incredible films and movies and things like that, we want that here and now. Where's our hoverboard from Back to the Future? Where's our flying car? And now, at least with virtual reality on the ground, it's here, and it's a pretty unique time to be in here. So let me ask you guys this: what do you think is the most compelling experience that you've come across in AR or XR today? Things that you felt moved the emotional needle the most for you?
It's not tough for me, but it's also not really emotional in the sense. It's definitely Beat Saber in VR. There's no other piece of technology. It's like you could put people into VR.
Do you want to describe what Beat Saber is?
Okay. For those who don't know, there's a VR game called Beat Saber. It's fantastic. If you ever play Guitar Hero or any of these games, it's blocks are coming at you. You have two swords. You're supposed to swing them in time to music. It's challenging. It's fun, and anyone who tries this, they get it instantly. They know what to do right away. They play through it. They want to play it again. And it has this kind of visceral feeling of like, oh, I finally understand what this technology is for. It's funny. It's just that if I was going to put someone in front of any VR experience, I would always start with this, because once they've done this, they realize like there's all this possibility and stuff that can happen here. And I'm not going to. There's so much other incredible VR content that I've been in and used, but this one just has such an easy fundamentals, easy to use, so much fun and entertaining. It's just a great example of what's possible.
Before I became obsessed with Beat Saber, which is great, it was super hot, which is, you're in this white room and these kind of geometric red, like really, really crimson red shapes are kind of coming at you. But if you stop moving, time stops, and then the faster you move, the faster they move. But it's still sort of a shooter game, right? You're trying to, throw knives and shoot at these creatures that are coming at you. But it's also just beautiful. But the point I think of both of these is that they're so simple in their construct and their ideas, and that those I think are just the best ideas, you know, and the best executed, because it's compelling, but someone goes in and they know exactly what they need to do. And I think that as we move into AR and we're sort of engaging in, you know, blending our digital landscape with our real lives, those simple interactions are the things that are going to connect, you know, the consumer with the digital age in a better way than we've done so far.
Some of the most compelling applications for me, at least in AR, are in the industrial space. And it feels like the last couple of years there have been a number of demos and prototypes, you know, some of which we've been involved in, where it's so clear what the benefit, the ROI is. Now, there are not very many examples of these things being implemented enterprise-wide, and I'm expecting, you know, when you see all the projections about AR in industry, they're coming, but, you know, it's been a little slower than I think we all hoped. But so as an example, some of the applications, you know, so a lot in the construction business, you're holding up you can even do this with a mobile device, and the electrician can see without punching holes in the wall where all the electrical circuits are, or similar with plumbing or studs or, you know, things behind the wall. Likewise, training, either teaching people how to assemble complicated equipment like a fighter jet. You know, there's one really wonderful example, Boeing funded a prototype where they're training people how to assemble just a wing, and I've forgotten how many hundreds of pieces that have to be assembled. So anything that involves procedural knowledge like that, you know, a complicated process, and you're able to then, on top of the actual physical machinery, show step 1, step 2, you know, that kind of thing. That stuff is just really useful. And as the baby boomers retire, who have this wealth of knowledge about the industrial workflow, and they're retiring, and you have younger people coming in, and what do you have to train them with? A 300-page manual, digital, physical, it doesn't matter. It's much harder to bring those people up to speed, and AR is, I think, really one of the key tools in their arsenal. So I think that's just a really, you know, fertile area of development, and really does have tremendous benefit.
Actually, one of the benefits of that as well is just from a practical standpoint for companies is that you can use the digital assets that you're using for the training. So I work with a high-end car manufacturer, and so we have a training module where we train technicians on each part. This car is hand-built end to end. I'm trying to convince them to pay me in one of the cars and let you know how that goes. But then when they're on the line, we can use AR as reminders and as checkpoints to make sure that their piece of that car has been done, you know, perfectly. So there's sort of this economy of scale. Then you build an AI mechanism around it where you're looking at the training and then the sort of on-the-floor procedural mechanism, and you're building in, you know, much better efficiencies by updating the application. So it's sort of a thing of beauty from an enterprise standpoint. I don't know if it's fascinating for an entertainment crowd, but it's an incredible use case.
Well, I find it fascinating, so let's dive into it. Like, you guys went from emotional, cool games that are super compelling and all awesome fun to clear ROI cases in the enterprise, aerospace, auto space. And what other, let's say going forward 3 to 5 years, combining these technologies for education and all these things, where do you guys see this going?
It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, you look at, you can throw any vertical, you can give me any vertical, any concept, and I can tell you how we'll use it. You know, healthcare with behavioral health, working with people on the spectrum with social disorders, you know, be able to practice, you know, correct kind of social behaviors in a safe environment so they're more successful out in the real world. you know, addiction, phobias. I mean, there's sort of endless use cases. It's really, you know, we have to engage the consumers in a better way, get them excited. And I think actually a lot of these AR experiences through mobile is the way to do it. And I love your point about, you know, mixing the media and not, you know, there are no rules yet right now.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's absolutely about mixing the media. I think, you know, to your question, I think it becomes ubiquitous, and I think if you're going to look 35 years down the pike, I'll probably have cataract surgery by then, but I think that people are going to be having essentially seamless media experiences that are going to traverse 2D, because 2D storytelling is not a broken medium. Filmmaking, 2D video is not a broken medium for telling stories. It's actually probably the best one that still exists. But I think that, you know, you're going to be able to traverse 2D media to immersive VR, mixed reality, and augmented reality, kind of seamlessly, you know, involving your devices in your home, your mobile devices, and projection in your rooms. And I think people will just kind of be able to go across that whole experiential kind of landscape.
It's the Matrix.
It is like,
we're not
it
going
is
to talk
the
about,
Matrix.
you know, we're not going to talk about which reality we're in the future.
No.
And those, you know, like our kids and our kids are going, you know, you use the word seamless. It's exactly it. You're going to sort of seamlessly move in and out of AR, VR, and it's not going to matter.
Do you guys have any opinions on the Neuralink that Elon Musk is working on, or, you know, at what point do you guys feel comfortable plugging something into your brain?
Today. You plug me into the mainframe today. I want to learn everything there is to know about everything. Why wouldn't we?
Well, there's inherent risks, right? Basic surgery's got a certain amount of risks, you know, you can do it like one eye at a time, but the brain is a bit more complicated. So if you're going to, like, at what point are you willing to be the first one to go to Mars, the second, you know? So
I'm going. I'm going to go. You know, but this is why we love the technology. Right? This is why we do this. You know, we want to be on the cutting edge. I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but yeah, I'm going to plug in as soon as I possibly can.
that's awesome. What about everybody else?
So I had LASIK surgery about 1.5 years ago, but I definitely waited like 20 years for like. Yeah, when you go to a doctor and they're like, yeah, there have been millions of people who've had this procedure, and generally these are the numbers, then yeah, maybe ask me at that point. For now, I mean, when I do this technology, I completely bought into the vision that tech is immersive. We talk to computers, we see things in our environment, we have hardware that makes this transparent and seamless. But I really feel like this is a progression of technology. And when I look at the devices everybody has today, which is like a smartphone in the pocket, 30 years ago, people didn't walk around saying, man, I really want a PDA. Like a computer in my pocket, that would be so cool. Instead it was like, no, I make phone calls and I do it on this, my house phone, and then on the cell phone, and then on this flip phone. And that flip phone was kind of the BlackBerry, and the BlackBerry became the iPhone. And it's just, nobody was asking for this computer in their pocket, but that was the natural evolution of the device they had. And I think as we move forward in immersive tech, it's the same thing. Like, we will have a progression to either eyewear or fancy displays or a combination of all of them. But to get there is like watching the devices we have get to that point. And I think that's, just this may be the way in which we see all this tech come out, which is why we've focused so much on mobile. But really, we're eyeing the future. It's like, how do we get there? How do we make this happen faster?
And we carry a computer in a pocket that actually arguably works terribly as a telephone. I mean, most of the time. It doesn't work as well as like an old Motorola flip phone.
Or corded phones for those who go back that far.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
The landline.
But I think that's a great point that, no one was screaming for that, right? And we spent a lot of time trying to build products and solve problems, right, that people have. But I think we're at this moment where somehow, and I think it's really part of this is the storytellers of the future, right? Kids who really just grow up on this technology and know nothing else are going to be the greatest storytellers, and they're going to start to deliver the stories that resonate with people, right? Because no one knows no one's saying, oh, I want this next generation of storytelling, or I want volumetric storytelling, or a game construct. But someone's going to build it, and it's going to capture kind of the hearts and minds of people, and then that's going to send us off on a new path, utilizing all the benefits of this technology.
Yeah.
My opinion in terms of the education market and education applications specifically and how that's going to evolve, it seems to me that when we look at the history of technology and its integration into the classroom, it tends to come with tools, and it's tool-based, which is putting the power in the hands of the kids to become the creators, as opposed to just turning the computer into another form of textbook or lecture. And so when you look at where we are with VR and AR and tools in the classroom, right now we're not very far along in that process. I mean, we have created some nice educational AR applications like 3D anatomy, but that's just not persuasive to the classroom teacher. It costs too much money, the hardware that's required. I'm just interested in your the web AR and how that can also, with a Chromebook and how that can, help. But it does seem to me that we're missing some of the software that is going to be necessary for teachers to really embrace it. I think Google is taking a step in that direction they have something now called, they just released it the last couple months, a tour creator, where kids can grab 360 video from Google Maps, and then they can create their own version of that 360 video and apply AR labels to things and add photos, and and then now they can look at that in Cardboard, Google Cardboard, so it's giving them this authorship, and that is then much more. Teachers are much better able to integrate that kind of use of technology into their curriculum, as opposed to some sort of standalone AR applications, which we have some interesting ones. We just finished one on teaching kids about electrical circuits using AR, which is cool. We're using cards, so it's physical cards and as targets, and you're able to combine batteries and turn on a light bulb, with AR. But again, this isn't what's going to be required, I think, to really get these technologies into the classroom. That's my opinion. I mean, VR has started with, and again, Google's led the way, I think, with Expeditions. That's a really cool curriculum, mostly having to do with geography and history, and kids are able to use Cardboard and experience VR in a cost-effective way, but we're just not very far along in terms of K-12, in my opinion.
It's the money piece. It's expensive. High Fidelity is doing, they want to build sort of educational environments, and so they're working with an Egyptologist here actually in Los Angeles, and then anywhere really in the world, but we've been doing a lot of these in San Francisco. We bring students in, we put them in a headset, and then they're transported to ancient Egypt. So they get to see the scale of what it was like to build, and eventually I'm sure they'll have heat lamps to show them what it was like building these in the desert. But she walks them through what it was like, and it's this sort of, fully immersive world. And so that solves two problems. One is that it's exciting, it's really entertaining, so the kids are engaged. But kids have a broad spectrum of learning styles, just as we do as adults, and it really allows and sort of caters to all of those kinds of levels so that kids can explore curriculum in the way that is exciting to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So engaging kind of educational mediums that allow people or students to be able to create their own environments or empower them to learn through the act of doing, not just observing, by being an active participant. With that in mind, and I'm sure there's some aspiring young people in the crowd, what problems do you feel are out there that haven't been solved yet, that you would like to see solved with this type of technology?
your idea of everyone kind of being a creator. I think we need to give everybody tools. Because we've all become photographers. Really I'm a horrible selfie photographer, but I seem to love it. And everyone does. But it's like giving everyone this sort of the tools to create any kind of content, educational content, to tag things that you've seen and share. I think that sort of peer-to-peer economy around creation and education and sharing, I think that will be an interesting evolution. It'll be interesting to have a front row seat to that.
Niantic in Harry Potter is, I have heard, is actually going to be allowing game players to create game content, which would be very exciting. So I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I think that's the way to engage people by making them creators. And that's certainly part of Magic Leap's positioning. Our company has one of their devices, but I haven't personally played with it yet. And so, but they have an authoring tool in there that's supposed to be, their whole pitch is we're all creators.
Difficulty in authoring, I would concur, or really having people sort of just fundamentally get their heads around really what's the possibility, or what is this technology, this new means of media display really offer you. I think that there's still this kind of education to be done around that for people to really understand like what the potential benefit to them really is in this. Well, don't know about it yet.
Or just even how to interact with 3D objects. Like it's so ironic that we live in a 3D world, and yet we're very 2D in our mentality around media.
Well, I mean, I would go for. I would have actually said the same thing as kind of creation tools, but I'll go a step further. It's not the lack of creation tools. I think it's the lack of content showing what's possible with this medium. Yeah. I think if there were great examples of professionally created content that required very special tools, people would then go start to build. Well, what is the more accessible version of the tool that could create an experience akin to this? And I think we don't even have that. I mean, I think there's such a limited use today of what's possible with immersive tech that when you not only talk about the missing tools, it's actually not clear what those tools should be or what they should be allowing you to create.
People don't care. My son is a gamer, and I've been in this business specifically in VR for about 5 years, which almost makes me OG. But and he can have all the toys he wants. And I said, you want to buy? Do you want to rip? He doesn't care. That's what got me thinking, like, what are we doing wrong? That a gamer doesn't want to go into VR.
Has he tried Beat Saber?
Oh, now we play that on set. In fact, we have tournaments now. Kick his little butt because I'm better. But we're not competitive in our family at all. No, but it's just sort of like we are missing something, and I think it's definitely content, right? And so it's entertainment and utility. If we can combine those in the content that we're delivering, and so again, like the app, it took a while for the app to kind of really, and there was only a few of them, so you sort of knew what they did, and then they started really, the app came into its own. We need to develop that, I think specifically for AR mobile. I mean, you guys are on the right path. You're using the right medium. Just we need to start delivering more of that so that it becomes sort of a seamless use case for different users. Yeah. Well, that's Facebook spending quite a lot of money on that. Ian's point, we think that there's some nefarious reasons why.
Multi-user, multiplayer for sure. Yeah, for sure. We're working on a project with Caesars I had mentioned, and it's at a bar, and you're playing sports games. You're playing there's soccer, basketball, beer pong. I don't know. There are like 5 of them. And the first we came out with a single-player version. That was nice, leaderboards, all of that. Well, then we came out with a multiplayer version, and it's just a whole different, in terms of the engagement level. And that's just, 2 guys sitting next to each other at the bar. So it's not a real exciting, example of real-time multiplayer, but you could see immediately the difference in engagement.
If you look at like Facebook Spaces, people who spend a lot of time in those environments, whether it's VR chat or high fidelity or Second Life, they feel like they know the person. So it doesn't matter how cartoony your avatar is. That, people are engaged, and we all have mannerisms. Like I can't stop talking with my hands, and I have very specific facial expressions, and we all have kind of our physicality when we're engaging with people. And so you do feel like you're with that person, but we still haven't found a real reason yet to sort of be together in VR or to kind of take those VR experiences through AR out to each other, or we can engage in a social environment.
So, any of you had any magic social moments in AR or VR moments that kind of made you realize what's possible or locked yourself in socially engaging situations in XR? Any moments where you connected?
I think, on the simplest level, some of the kind of what are now kind of emerging, I think, is really early sort of classic works in VR, and I'm using, VR broadly to also embrace, 360 video. But I mean, some of the stuff that Within did, Chris Milk, some of the films in there like Clouds Over Sidra, and things like that, moments where I still kind of am wowed by, and even sort of oddly mesmerized by things that I've shot too, even some of the sports teams like the Giants and the 49ers in the Bay Area, where you capture a moment where the person is not aware the camera is ignoring the camera, forgets the camera's there. The cameras are often really strange looking, and so it's easier to do than with film camera, video camera. And you really feel that you are in the presence of another person that doesn't react or act as if they're being observed. And you, I think, are able to, as Chris Milk says, it's, VR is an empathy machine, right, famously. And I think that's really true. I think it's really interesting that, you can have that sense of presence in another person's space or place. And I think gain some insight into what their life is like. I think that's, on a very simple, fundamental level, I think something that still can be rather effective, rather moving.
Absolutely. That sense of being able to see them in a more of a candid state, kind of the true selves, has an impact.
And get some sense of what their reality is like.
Absolutely. So shifting gears slightly, because we have only a couple minutes left here, what do you guys think the impact that the Chinese marketplace has on this industry over here in technology, Silicon Valley, Silicon Bay? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we look very closely at how they are embracing the technology and trying to draw parallels. But it was really funny. We had a meeting yesterday we have 5 companies over from Korea, an accelerator program, and they're all VR companies. And we met with Technicolor yesterday, and they said, this market is 14 times the size of our market. We want to understand, how do we sell in this market? And Marcy Jastrow, who runs the TDC there, came up with a very cogent reply around data and how we look at market data. But then, we looked at them and said, but by the way, we're also 14 times, we understand our market 14 times less than yours. It's this sort of morass, right? We try and look at their lifestyle and draw parallels to how we would utilize the technology and how the technology would scale. But there's no real answer, and until we have that content out there, and until we're really engaging people with it, both on the AR and the VR side, it doesn't really matter what other markets are doing. It's like we kind of need to look, and I think this is the place where this is going to come from. I mean, this is the world of storytellers. This is where I think these solutions will come.
I think boundless potential, really. I mean, just in terms, but also, there's been a lot more. I feel like there's been a lot more adoption of, certainly on the VR front, of VR technology and immersive technology in Asia and also in China. And I've seen it, in Shanghai and Beijing, and the whole culture of there's more of a culture of arcade-based, internet cafe-based gaming experiences and parlors and location-based entertainment is really sort of taking off there a little faster, I think, than it is here. And I think it's also over 10,000 years of recorded history, So I mean, there's enormous potential for immersive storytelling in the Chinese market, in China.
Do you see there's opportunities for storytellers or startups or businesses that are here to be able to step over into the Chinese market, into these location-based entertainment facilities, or any other opportunities that you see?
I would hope so. I'd be interested in that, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say definitely for mobile AR. The world has cell phones. They're kind of ubiquitous at this point. There's different manufacturers that have more kind of market share in different countries. But what we've seen, and you've seen calling up the Chinese market specifically, are just really incredible phones that you can't find in stores here. Excellent cameras, gyros, like top processors, capable of like all of the same types of things we talk about in mobile AR that you find here. Sometimes it's better. And I guess at AFOL we have a wall of devices to test on. I think we have maybe 80 phones now at this point that we can run through the QA. The tech is there. Everything you needed is ready. I mean, clearly large enough. I mean, there's just so much interest and so much power that just coming out with whatever these killer applications are, whatever are the beat sabers of these things that in every kind of vertical is going to be what really is the catalyst for this market.
They're really emotionally moving things that we don't get until we see it, right? We only experience it, and then we're like, oh, well, of course, the Pokemon Go for Beat Saber or whatnot. Absolutely. And do you have like ideal use cases you'd like to see people use with your platform?
So there are so many things that I'd like to see, but what I recognize, some of the first things we're going to see, I would expect are going to be around advertising, marketing, and e-commerce. When you think about advertising, it's just what catches your attention. It's no longer flashing. It's no longer jingles. It's no longer kind of a car driving through the mountains. It's really, there's this whole opportunity to take the immersive part of immersive media and use that to get people's attention in positive ways. Like, hey, you want to play a game or you want to check something out, I'm going to show you this. Just having both marketing and advertising that allows people to experience something. Walk around a vehicle they might be interested in purchasing, or play a game for something that they might want to go buy and purchase it. When I think of e-commerce, it's not just like view a 3D object. It's can I see this? Can I see this? What this clothing looks like on a display rack, on a mannequin, on a person? That might the next step would be what does it look like on me? And just these kind of things are so much richer than just showing you a picture. And so, but because there's so much interest, so much economic reason to do this, I think this is going to be where we see a lot of early examples of this technology. But from there, I'd love to see kind of rich media, full storytelling, engagement, entertainment. And these things I think will definitely come, but there's so much more production that goes into them that it really takes time to get to that, the level we want to do that.
As developers and contractors and stuff, I always feel like we're building a town in the desert. Say the trains are coming, just waiting for it to eventually come. But it's coming, I swear, it is. I love it.
Burning Man.
Oh, for sure. Were you guys here?
Once upon a time in the West.
So we've got about a minute left. Is there any messages you'd like to get out to the people here? That there's a young, spry person out there that wants to get started in this industry. Do you have any messages to that person or anything you'd like to communicate to them?
Just get started. Look at ARKit, look at AR Core, play around with Unity. You're gonna have to learn C#, but that's another story. But just start playing with it, and because I think this group here are gonna start to bring you the tools, right, to really create. So just start playing around with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just thinking about the Chinese market. I was still back on that question, and an interesting application. And one thing that struck me is we're getting much better at object recognition. There now, Google Lens, and everybody has a different tool forth, and HoloLens actually has made some real strides in that. And so once we have really good object recognition, thinking about language learning, which is always a big issue, for the Chinese and American market, how cool would it be if I could walk around with my phone, it would recognize, not the way it is now, right? It recognizes the perimeter of my chair. It doesn't know Erik and Erik, or they don't know that this is a chair. Once they know it's a chair and its semantic meaning, all of a sudden then my character can sit on the chair and can start, that's the combination of AI with AR that will allow us to start interacting with our environment in a really smart way. But then we can also start teaching language too, related to, oh, that's a chair, here's how you say it in this language and that language, and listen to it and see it printed, and anyway, that, I don't know why I thought of that, but that would be something that would be fun to do for a Chinese audience.
It's a great one. Anything that connects us better, quicker, more efficiently, that's beautiful. Awesome. Well, Erik, Adam, Ariella, Amy, thank you for joining us here today. Appreciate your time. And yeah. And if you have any questions, please run up. I'm sure they would love to talk to you afterwards. So, thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you to our panel on AR.